reasons, of course. We know what a Scrum Master is, right? If you don't know, where have you been? Check out all of the previous posts that we've shared on NSTAR Technologies, and then we have our free Scrum ebook. That might be a really good one that you want to get your hand on. And I believe that everyone who joins the session is getting one free. So if you're trying to get into the Scrum space, trying to become a Scrum Master, to know how can you transfer your skills to become a Scrum Master, you definitely want to get your hand on that ebook like right now. So if you're listening to me in real time, or if you're watching this after, this is a good time for you to say free ebook, send us a DM. But I'm just going to go straight up into, again, what does overcoming imposter syndrome look like, right? What does syndrome look like for an Agile practitioner or a Scrum Master? And I will say this to kick us off, right? Like when we think about succeeding in any industry, whether it be in technology, in education, and finance, whatever it is, it takes work. And we do all of this work. And I know you've done, I've done, most people have done all of this work, which includes like getting certified and learning frameworks, taking an extra education, trying to gather this experience, learning all of these amazing tools. But all of these things that we learn are amazing. But they're external. They're external. So you can be so versatile and so experienced externally, but the main thing that really translates the value that you already have externally is your mindset, is how you communicate it. And that's why even when people go for interviews, it's almost a case of how can you use the values that you have and how can you communicate that to the hearer? Because if something is amazing and if it's not communicated at all, it's its essence. And so back to even just succeeding in any industry, whatever it is that you're doing at all, you've done the work. But what about the work you also have to do on yourself, especially how you see yourself? The way someone can present how they either facilitate a meeting or how they are able to break down outcomes, from the department or the organization into the sprint goal, how they're able to communicate that plays a very big role, and plays a big role because it's also determined on the confidence that you have within yourself as well. So if you're listening to me or you're enjoying this, live stream, I want you to either type in the comment or maybe just raise your hand somewhere. Ever questioned whether you belong in your role? Ask yourself like, oh my goodness, do I belong in this role? Is like, are they going to catch me and be like, how did you get into this place? Are they going to go back to my resume to look at all of the stuff that I've done before and ask and begin to figure out like, how did HR let this person go through the doors, right? Or have you been in spaces where you feel like, am I really good enough? Do I belong here? What if I'm not able to understand what you're saying from the technology perspective? What if they ask me a question and I'm blank and I have no idea what is being asked of me? Or what if they give me an assignment or a work or a responsibility and I kind of like fumble the ball? Let me tell you, everyone, I want to believe that is great or doing awesome right now has gone through those motions, whether we want to call it imposter syndrome, whether we want to call it the path to confidence or the path to experience. And our topic is all about overcoming imposter syndrome. So we're going to call it imposter syndrome. And I have this, tagline that I always say that the real imposters never experience imposter syndrome. Like those who are imposters, they're the most confident. They're the boldest. They're the ones that will show up without any certification or any proof to prove anything. But those who are amazing, those who have done the work, and shown up for themselves and are stretching themselves to learning are the ones who are doubting themselves. And I think that while imposter syndrome sometimes comes with a negative connotation, but that also shows how that there's room for growth and you will always be on your feet wanting to continuously learn. So today we're going to tackle just imposter syndrome because while I know that there might be a positive to it a little bit, I also know that it's held a lot of people down from advocating for themselves. It's held a lot of people down from saying yes to opportunities. It's held a lot of Scrum Masters and other practitioners down from stepping out of the box of what they think their job description is and taking on more and taking more ownership. Because if you're listening to me right now, you're a Scrum Master and other practitioner, do you know how valuable your role is? Do you know how important your role is? Do you understand the opportunities that are within your role? And we don't want imposter syndrome to steal that from you at all. So today we're going to tackle all of that. And I'm not just going to be speaking to you in words, but as I'm speaking, if something stands out to you, please put it in the chat, put it in the comment. I would love to look at that after the call. But I also want to be able to leave you with practical actions. I want to be able to leave you with thoughts. I want to be able to leave you with exercises that you can use today so that by the time you get back to work on Monday, or maybe you want to close out even this week. Today is Friday. So there are certain things that you can literally do this week to build your confidence, to communicate the value of the work you've done as an agile practitioner throughout this week to your team before you shut down the work week. All right. So by the end of today's lifetime, I want you to be able to work away knowing fully well that you own your role, you walk away understanding your role with confidence. And no matter where you are in your agile journey, whether you're new trying to get into this space, I really hope that this encourages you to plunge in and work and do it afraid and overcome that imposter syndrome. Whether you're 0 to 5 years or 1 to 5 years in this space, I want you to be able to see your role differently. If you're 5 to 10 years, I want you to be able to ask yourself, what does next look like for me? If you're 10 to 15 years, I want you to be able to ask yourself, how can I build a legacy for those who are coming right behind me? All right. So I'm going to share, like, I mean, a bit of my own journey, just a little bit. When I started as a Scrum Master, I knew what I knew, and I knew that this whole role, this whole profession was created with me in mind. It was created with me in mind. Whosoever put Agile together, a Scrum together, thought about thought about me, right? And so, but even with that being said, like my background in project management, program management, operations, and all of that had always been in a non-technical space. It had been in education for a majority of my time before I started getting into tech. And so when I go into that tech environment, of course I questioned myself. Like, I was just like, what in the world are they saying? How am I able to create space for myself to be a part of that conversation? How am I able to know when to chime in to say, oh, you're blocked with this. It might be because of that, and be able to make this connection point if I don't understand the technology behind how all of these things work, right? And so I have had thoughts in my mind like, people here are probably they are definitely more technology way driven than me. They are more experienced than me. I might not be leading this course the way I should lead this course. And I wonder, like, thinking about if I know what I am doing. So I've had those thoughts, of course, go through my mind at the start of my journey, having doubts about just the technology, having doubts about making sure that I'm actually showing up to the best that I can show up. But let me tell you something. Over time, I have leaned more into learning than what I think I don't have. So, two things I want to say here. Most of the time, we think about what we don't have and we lose the value of what we already have. I already knew I'm an expert, like, at that point in time, like, if you bring me, when they brought me into that space, they brought me as a Scrum Master, which means you're the master of the Scrum framework. You should understand how agility works in this environment. So that means I'm the master of that knowledge. They are the master of, maybe a whole tech stack and all of that. That is their space, and this is my space. While I need to understand exactly what they're speaking to be able to guide them, right? I think I need to shift my mindset where I don't measure myself based on what I didn't know, but measure myself based on what I already know, and then glean and lean and open myself to learning from them as well, right? And so over time, I've just leaned into learning and paying very, very, I would say, attention, clear attention to what is being said, reflecting on my experiences, and always taking action because even when self doubt will rise up, when you're not sure about certain things will definitely rise up. When you're uncomfortable will definitely rise up. But the question is that what do you do when you feel like that? What do you do when those thoughts and feelings and all of that come into mind, right? So I want to do a quick poll like, has doubt or imposter syndrome ever made you step back from an opportunity? And if it has, I want you to put me in the comments. If there's a comment section somewhere here, or just say me where you are at right now. Because let me tell you, I see you. I absolutely see you. Opportunity, doubt, imposter syndrome has really blocked the doors for a lot of people. And when you now realize the people that probably even say yes to that, or people who raise up their hand, who say yes to opportunities when maybe your manager or your leaders are asking for someone to volunteer, you realize that, it's not about comparison, but you realize that I actually know this thing. why did I say no? And I know most of us have felt that way where maybe you're about to say something on the call, but you don't because you think it sounds silly or stupid. And then someone says the same thing, or someone says something that is way off, and yet the floor didn't open to swallow them up. And then you wonder, like, why am I not saying it? And the compounded effect of you not standing up or saying things or letting imposter syndrome rule is that you begin to lose trust in yourself, and the muscle that you don't use is gonna get weary, which means the muscle of you advocating for yourself, open up your mouth to speak and saying the things, would I be good, would I be bad, would I be right, would I be wrong, but contributing to the conversation and saying yes and all of those things, and doing it afraid, and taking and being and leading from the front, not hiding behind your technical leader or hiding behind the senior software developer, but leading from the front, say wanting to be part of the conversations that are very strange to you, or you have no idea what is being said, or you want to be part of the product conversations, you don't know what the product that you're building, but you're listening. Now and grow and build your confidence, because most time we forget that what we know now we didn't know before. So why are we afraid of learning something new? Why are we afraid that we might be caught up or we might be caught out? But we forget that you are in that position because someone saw something in you and they feel like you'd be a great addition to that. So the first step I want us to do right here is the first step is really just recognizing imposter thoughts, right? How do you overcome, of course, imposter syndrome? You have to recognize it because sometimes we just do our day-to-day job. We go in, we go out. I just want to get paid. I don't want to do much more than I want to do. I don't want, no. But we have to recognize when imposter thoughts are what is holding us back. What you have to ask yourself questions like, when do I feel self-doubt the most? I remember most of my students, when they start working as Scrum Masters or Agile practitioners, one of the Scrum events that makes them literally panic is the retrospective. I think the retrospective and the sprint planning stand out the most. Retrospective because at that point in time, you have to lead that Scrum event. You have to facilitate it. You have to get your team engaged. And most of the time, it's a little bit scary because if you have a team that maybe they're not very verbal, they're off camera, then nobody's chatting, nobody's saying anything. It feels like you're asking questions, but nobody's listening, nobody's paying attention to you. Right? And so that you have to be so quick on your feet to know how to navigate and move and lead that conversation in a way where it doesn't become very awkward, dry, or quote unquote irrelevant, where the next time people don't come for that. And that's something we want to avoid, right? And so you want to ask yourself questions around, all right, so when do I feel self-doubt the most? Because I want to assume that even as an agile practitioner or a scrum master, imposter thoughts are not occupying you every single or now that's a different conversation. We have to figure out exactly why, where is that coming from, and all of that. And I know that that will typically will happen to people, especially if maybe it's your first Scrum Master job, or it's a whole new space or whole new technology or a whole new industry, or you just moved and all of those things. So yes, imposter thoughts could come up. But I want you to take a moment and just ask yourself, when do I feel this thought the most? Is it when I'm about to lead a meeting, about to do a presentation? Is it when a senior leader asks me a question? Is it when one of the tech leaders asks me a question? Is it when my engineers ask me a question? Is it when my quality engineers ask me a question? Is it when what? Is it when my peers ask me a question? Is it when I'm asked to do a presentation at our community of practice? Like, when do I feel this thoughts the most? That's the question you have to ask yourself and take a moment to really write this down, right? Um, because if you're not able to identify it or put language to it, you wouldn't know. If you're not able to recognize it, you wouldn't know how much of a hold it literally has over you. And so if you're here listening to me right now, you can type in the comment. I want you to type in the comment, like really, when do you feel this imposter thoughts the most? Because when you acknowledge that, okay, I feel this thought the most when I'm asked to showcase what my team has worked on for the past quarter, right? Now you can change it because you put language, you put words to it, because you can't really change what you can see, what you don't see, or what you're ignoring. And recognition and identification honestly, I think it's a start of transformation. The same way we think about agile transformation, when leaders are beginning to understand how maybe there's a gap here, there are waste is happening here, inefficiencies are happening here, they're able to identify and recognize it, then that's where the transformation starts. Not necessarily when they bring in an agile transformation expert, no. But again, back to the imposter thoughts is when you're able to acknowledge this thought and understand when they come up, then you can begin to change it, right? You can begin to change it. Okay, so it comes up when I'm asked to present. Well, can I gather the information that I need to present way ahead of time? Is it because I'm more reactive than I'm proactive, hence the imposter thoughts coming? Or is it a case of maybe I'm scared to present what my team has worked on because I feel like they're not meeting their sprint goals, da, 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 da. So we literally need to get to the root cause of why or when these thoughts come up. But first of all, I want to identify when, not even the why. Let's not start with the why, but the when do they come up? When do these thoughts come up, right? Now, the second thing we want to talk about now is when these thoughts come up, how do we challenge these thoughts and how do we reframe this thought? Because once you can recognize this thought, all right, so now you can ask yourself, are these thoughts real or true? Because if we go back to the use case of, I feel like I might not be able to present maturely or just effectively when I'm asked to share what my team has done for the quarter. But is that true? Right? Is that a real thought? Because you probably have presented a couple of quarters or you present to your team. So why do you what is making you feel like you're not going to be prepared? What is making you feel like you're not ready for the presentation? Another example might be you might say, well, I don't think I'm ready for this role, but is it that you're not ready for the role or more about you're going to be learning into this role, you're going to be growing into this role, and you're already bringing unique value into this role. So challenging and reframing those thoughts are important. The same way we say, is a cup half empty or is it half full? And I've seen this meme go around about what people say they do on LinkedIn versus what they do in real life, right? So it's all about perception, all about how you reframe this, right? So instead of saying, well, everyone here is so technology qualified, everyone here is so the technology expert, well, you can try and say, I'm bringing my own unique experiences that make me capable and I'm open to learning. I have a continuous learning mindset and I'm open to learn. I'm open to being a student all the time. And even now challenge that imposter thought by reaching out to someone that you believe is maybe an expert in a specific area and say, I would love to have a chat with you to learn more about what you're doing because I'm not very vast in this area, but I want to be able to know what you're doing and see how it connects to what I am doing and how it can bring value to you and the team. And in that way, now guess what? You're literally doing it afraid because you've put your what's the word? Your inexperience on blast, and you found out that the ground didn't open, nothing happened. Instead, you are being proactive by wanting to learn. And that is even an example you can give to your manager or your leader to show how you're being proactive in learning. So I want us to try this, right? Let's try this together. How about think about one self-doubting or imposter thought that you've had this week and type it in the comment. But then as you type it in the comment, what about a positive reframe to it? So you think about the examples that I gave, where is I don't think I'm ready for this next role. Well, I am ready for this next role because I know that I'm going to be learning and I'm going to be growing and I already bring value to the table, right? Instead of saying, well, I'm not going to apply for that role because I think everyone is more qualified than me. Well, I have unique experiences that make me capable. And I'm going to be even speaking, even apart from the Agile practitioners, the Scrum Masters, even those who are immigrants as well, is don't knock off the experience that you've gathered over the years. Those are your unique selling point. That is your intellectual property that makes you capable. And so if you don't put value to it, nobody's going to see value from it. And so I always encourage, our students, which is don't undervalue the work that you're already doing, whether you like the company or not, whether you like your manager or not, it doesn't matter is don't undervalue the work that you're already doing. Because if you undervalue it, guess what's going to happen? You won't be able to speak about the value. You won't be able to speak about the value of it to anybody. And when we're doing interviews, is a value exchange. How can you solve the problem that this company having? How can this company point to you as a career professional? right? So I want you to see how just reframing that shift is, how you can reframe your thoughts. And it's not a one and done situation. It's literally a continuous situation where you're building that muscle. And every time you do it, your confidence is growing. Every time you do, your confidence is growing. And you're giving your opportunity, you're giving yourself the opportunity, right, to face those imposter thoughts and go for it. Now, the third thing I want to talk about here is, of course, building confidence through action. So, the first thing that we've definitely talked about here is when do you have these thoughts? Like when does this imposter thoughts come up? So we want to recognize, right, the imposter thoughts. The second thing we want to do is we are challenging and reframing the thought. So we've challenged it, we've reframed it, we are challenging, we're reframing, we're saying, we're writing it, which is amazing and powerful. But then we've got to put action behind it. And I already give an example. We have to build our confidence through action. Because while you're saying it, which is wonderful and great, but confidence doesn't come from just wishing something into existence, right? It really just comes from action. It comes from you putting action towards it. So, and as agile practitioners, we practice continuous improvement every day. You know, the same way they say that doctors don't like their medicine, as agile practitioners, continuous improvement is something that we preach, we say, we talk. It's our mantra, it's our culture to our teams and organization. So how about we take that medicine for ourselves and let's apply that to ourselves? What does continuous improvement look like for you? How about taking those small steps that challenge you? Like I give an example, reaching out to someone who you believe is an expert in a specific space and saying like, hey, I would love to jump on your calendar to know much more about what you're doing. How about you volunteering in an area that you have no clue about? Because guess what that's going to do? It's going to keep you in your fit. It's going to make you learn, and you're going to leave that volunteering opportunity much better than you got in and much more knowledgeable than you got in. How about you say yes to presenting an idea to people who maybe have no idea what Agile or Scrum is? Because well, guess what? Their questions are not going to be the kind of question that you think you'll be able to get from your peers and your colleague. So reflect, and then when you do that, then you're able to improve. But now again, you are giving yourself subconsciously proof and receipts that you're not an imposter, which you were never an imposter to begin with. And when you do all of that, feel free to celebrate your win. Put it in a blog report. Put it in your team's Slack channel. Let your peers know. Let your manager know. Because it is just evidence, not just to your brain subconsciously, but also consciously to people around you, the work that you're doing, that you can absolutely do this. And so I talked about at the beginning of this live stream, which is even as the week is coming, do this as part of your weekly reports, and maybe you're yet to start it. So I want you to start this, but I also not just want you to start it for today. You have to also maintain it. How can you do like a win report for the week, or what we accomplished for the week, or what stood out for this week? Something that you can share and communicate with your not just your team, actually with your manager and your peers and all of those, like showcasing the work that your team has done this week and how it actually connects to the strategic outcomes or to business goals. Like that, to me, that is next level, next step right there. So that could be one brave step that you can do this week, or if you want to start next week, which is fine. But the action here, I would say, is committing to that one small brave action step, whatever it is that you want to do. And if you already know what that is, I'm challenging you more to actually write it in a comment. I'm challenging you to write in a comment, because each small step that you take and when you climb it consistently, very soon you're able to see how your confidence boosts and all of that, right? Now, number four, I want to talk about here is then positioning yourself for success. Because I talk about confidence grows when you prepare, confidence grows when you learn, and it also grows when you connect with other people as well. So while you're reviewing frameworks, while you're practicing techniques, while you're seeking out mentorship or learning opportunities from people that you think know something that you do not know, while you're looking for opportunities to grow, also build connection. Because you've heard, I'm sure you've heard about how, your network is your net worth, or show me your friends and I'll kind of like tell you who you are. It's also sometimes imposter syndrome comes in when you're surrounded with people who fill your ears with imposter thoughts or the thoughts of fear and doom. But when you're making connections with senior leaders, yes, two things can happen. Either you feel like, oh my goodness, I know nothing, or either you feel like, oh my goodness, I can learn from this person. So build connections. And those two thoughts kind of like is dependent and determined by you and what you think about yourself as a person. And so remember we talked about continuous improvement. I want that those thoughts to be what I can learn from this person. Because when you build those relationships, right, and you are beginning to get confidence by osmosis. You're beginning to build confidence just because you're around people who are also confident, who put you on the spot, who acknowledge what you're saying, who give you room for improvement, and who give you feedback, right? Because success is not a matter of if, it's a matter of when and how you prepare for it. And so when you're confident in who you are today, when you're committed for growth, when you're continuously learning, then success is kind of like inevitable. So we can't just work on our imposter thoughts in isolation. We have to also make sure that we are communicating that out. We have to also make sure that we're also building connections as needed. Because the goal here is, again, how do we overcome that imposter syndrome? But how do you also build confidence as an agile practitioner, as a scrum master? And one way you would definitely do that is just building connections with other people. So I'm challenging you to don't be within your bubble of safety. Step out and get to know. Look through your what maybe your Rolodex or your team's associates, hires, your the titles, and try to have a call with someone who's not doing anything that you're doing at all to learn more about what they're doing so that you can share. Because the more you share what you're doing to someone who perhaps doesn't have that much understanding, now your language is getting stronger. You have to now communicate in a way that they can understand. So in that way, you're already building confidence in yourself. Okay. So I want you to remember this, like success literally is not a matter of if, it's a matter of when. And that when has a lot of things that have to come to play. And we talked about some of that already. So I want to end this in a way where we do some just a quick transformational exercise, right? I want us to be able to visualize this for a moment. If you can close your eyes, if you can open your eyes, whatever works best for you. But I want you to just really picture in your mind where you are either about to lead your next Scrum event or you're about to have a team meeting, and you have just this overwhelming, positive, calm confidence around you, right? And you're feeling yourself, you're speaking clearly, you are guiding your team, you are making an impact. When challenges are coming up, when questions are coming up, you're able to answer all of those things with ease. And I want you just take a deep breath in and just see yourself in that position, like your ideal agile practitioner position, where you have no imposter thoughts or self-doubt thoughts. And I want you to know that is not a dream. That is really your reality because you are not an imposter. And every small action that I have shared with you today that you take is going to make that visualization your lived experience. We can't just imagine ourselves into success or confidence. It's going to require us actually taking some steps. And so today I've covered just recognizing those thoughts. That's the first step. Challenging and reframing those thoughts. Building confidence through action because you have to put your back on that work. You got to do some work on it. And then position yourself for success by surrounding yourself with people who can see you and who can challenge you into growth. And I want you to definitely notice that, hey, you belong in that space. Whether you're a Scrum Master, whether you're an Agile practitioner, or you're just a career professional, or you're someone who's trying to get into any space, I want you to understand that you belong in that space. And why I'm saying this is because if you don't believe that, you're going to unconsciously jeopardize yourself as you try to get into that space. So you have to believe that you belong in that space. And one way you can do that by believing you belong in that space, by looking around you and find people who are like you, who have similar journey, who are in that space because they are proof that it's possible for you. But then you also have to grow. You have to grow because again, I mean, with the transformation going on, not just either transformation, even AI transformation and all of that, growth is literally like the only thing that we can be doing every second, every moment. And then you have to contribute. Because if you are growing and you're not contributing, you become still. So you have to give yourself an opportunity of an outlet to contribute. Because the more you contribute, the more your confidence builds, the more you have receipts, the more when those imposter thoughts come up, you can be like, nope, I've done this before. I know this. I can answer this question. Right. And in that way, every day you're stepping into what that ideal professional mind or vision that you do have. Okay. All right. So I want to say thank you all. I hope it's been very helpful for you. Um, and if you do have questions, please put questions in the comment. I'm going to be answering those after this live stream. I really want to be able to support you all on your Scrum Master and Agile Practitioner journey. And that's really what NSTAR Technologies is all about. Over the years, we really work with career professionals who are looking to pivot, who are looking to transition into tech, into becoming database administrators, into becoming Scrum Masters or Agile practitioners. And we've gone through our share of students, and we still are going through our share of students. And one thing we definitely know for sure is that imposter thoughts is a huge one that has stopped a lot of people from, number one, even signing up for our program. Number two, going through the program and still struggling to one, holding themselves back from applying for a job. Or number three, wanting to say yes when they get into that job. And we've been able to work with students throughout all of this imposter syndrome spectrum. And by the time we see our students just we keep seeing them fly, we see them excel, we see them succeed, it's just joy to our heart, because now guess what, they are able to be a support to other people who have been like them before. And so our job here at NSTAR Technologies is really to hold your hand through from whatever you are in your career journey to where you want to get in your career journey. But that active actually relies on you, for you to engage with us and let us know where you're at, and we can tell you how we can help you. And so I want to say thank you again for joining me on this journey here. For my Scrum Master students, other practitioners who are listening to this, I am cheering you on, and I want you to always remember that you are so ready and you are perfect and you are amazing for that role. In fact, go higher, look outside and stretch yourself to become more than you already are. For those who are trying to get into the space, please ask us at NSTAR Technologies how you can become a Scrum Master, as a practitioner, and we'll be very happy to hold your hand on the journey. But I just want to encourage you as you go into the weekend that, hey, step into your next. Just step into your next. Step into your next with courage, just with clarity and with confidence. And those are the things that we provide to you here at NSTAR Technologies. And for those who will be getting their free ebook, which is the Comprehensive Scrum Master ebook, congratulations. Until next time, be agile. Bye, everyone. If you enjoyed this video, do not forget to hit that subscribe button and click on the notification bell so that you never miss an update. Also, be sure to check out the link below so that you can grab yourself a free copy of my ebook. See you next time.